and we will look at tickets for the season opener. Guys, do you understand that 2 years ago, 2024, and even in the beginning of 2025, I was doing videos making fun of other franchises because they could not sell out their games. In fact, they couldn't even come close to selling out their games, right? It seemed unimaginable if I was sitting in this chair this time last year that we would be talking about the
The arena was supposed to be a fortress of noise, but instead it looks like a ghost town. Caitlin Clark stepped onto the floor, and the silence from the empty rows was absolutely deafening for a league that promised a total revolution. We were told every seat would be a gold mine, but the reality on the ground is a nightmare for the front office right now. Thousands of tickets are sitting there gathering dust just days before the biggest opener in franchise history. This isn't just a slow start. It is a full-blown crisis that nobody in the mainstream media wants to admit. The Fever are begging for fans to show up, and the response has been a cold, hard shoulder from a fan base that was supposed to be obsessed with this era.
Boy, has there been a greater drop-off in content in the last 3 months than the Indiana Fever social media? I don't know what's happened. I guess part of it is the front office has caused a lot of the backlash, combined with AI. So the Indiana Fever dropped this video out. Secure your tickets today. Can't wait to see you at the season opener. I was like, season opener? Is that game?
Fever fans, welcome back to Gamebridge. We're super excited to have you guys here. We're going to be working hard. We're going to have a lot of fun. So continue to show up and show out.
We're going to be healthy this season, so we're going to have a complete
The desperation is palpable in the air, and it's getting harder to ignore. We just saw the Indiana Fever drop a promotional video practically pleading with the public to secure their spots for the season opener. Just a year ago, it was unimaginable that we'd be sitting here talking about unsold inventory for a Caitlin Clark game. Back then, I was making fun of other franchises because they couldn't fill a high school gym, but now the mirror is turned right back at Indiana. They're 5 days out from tip-off, and the ticket maps are bleeding blue with available seats. It's a staggering fall from grace for a marketing machine that was supposed to be invincible. You can feel the panic radiating from the team.
39 seconds?
Whoever puts the jersey on.
39 seconds before Caitlin Clark showed up in this video in any way? Maybe that's wrong.
That's my sister. I'm going to war for her. Whatever the team needs me to be, I'm ready for whatever.
CC return, man. She's going to come back and play so many games for us.
You're going to love our new players. Great personalities, great players, great athletes, great people.
We're going to have fun. Fast, electric.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. She's not in this video as one of the personalities?
Look at the social media strategy, because it has become an absolute train wreck in real time. There hasn't been a greater drop-off in content quality in the last few months than what we're seeing from the Fever's official channels lately. It's almost like they've given up on human connection and leaned into soulless AI-generated garbage that fans are seeing right through. The backlash is growing every single day, and it's fueled by a front office that seems completely out of touch with what the people actually want. Instead of building momentum, they're creating a wall of frustration. When you alienate your core audience with lazy promotions, don't be surprised when they stay home on Saturday.
I don't think there's no way we had this conversation in 2024 or 2025. That here we are this far out from the game and we're like, look at this. Look at this. There is one section outside of, I don't know what these are right here, but every section of this arena still has tickets left for the opener.
The front office seems to be caught in a storm of their own making, combining bad management with a weird reliance on artificial tech. Fans are calling them out for the lack of authentic engagement, and the numbers are reflecting that dissatisfaction. It is one thing to have a bad game, but it is another thing entirely to have a bad brand identity. They are peddling these tickets for the season opener like they are selling discount furniture, and it is honestly embarrassing to watch. You have the most hyped prospect in the history of the sport, yet you are struggling to move the needle. This suggests that the internal leadership is failing to capitalize on the biggest gift they have ever been given.
Still has tickets left for the opener. And in some case, I mean, look at that, 46 tickets, 47 tickets, 52 tickets, 67 tickets, 48 tickets. There's basically tickets all over the place. That's what you would like to refer to as thousands of tickets are still left with 5 days left. Are you kidding me? At home. Caitlin.
If you look at the actual seating charts, the visual evidence is nothing short of shocking for this level of hype. I took a deep dive into the digital maps and what I saw was a sea of available dots. We aren't just talking about a couple of seats in the nosebleeds that nobody wants. Every single section of the arena still has tickets left for the opener. In some spots, there are blocks of 46, 52, or even 67 tickets just sitting there waiting for a buyer. It's essentially a buffet of empty space spread across the entire venue. How is this possible when we were told this would be the hottest ticket in town? The disconnect between the PR spin and the actual sales data is massive.
I'm thinking she may stay on the team. How about Caitlin Clark with a leg sleeve? Right there. Interesting. Lexi Hall. There's Lexi. All right. Moving around, taking a shot or two. I assume she's going to be available to play. Okay, moving around. That looks good. Another shot. Nailed it.
The indictment here isn't just that a few tickets are left. It's the scale of the vacancy that's alarming. When you see thousands of seats still available with less than a week to go, you have to ask what went wrong with the messaging. This was supposed to be a guaranteed sellout months ago. Instead, the team is releasing videos of players telling fans to show up and show out, almost as if they are worried about playing to a half-empty room. It's a massive red flag for the health of the franchise's relationship with its local market. If you can't sell out the return of the savior, then what exactly can you sell? This is a reality check that is hitting the organization like a ton of heavy bricks.
Assume this game will eventually sell out. Yes, I do. That's not the point. You're telling me tickets are slow? The indictment here is that tickets are still available. Not only a ticket, not only a section, basically every section in the arena still has tickets available. And make no mistake, there's been people that's been like, starters out. That's why you saw so many empty seats, yada, 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 in the game the other night. Hold on. When that game tipped off,
I remember sitting in this chair not too long ago, mocking other teams for their inability to draw a crowd. I thought those days were over for the Indiana Fever once they secured the #1 pick, but here we are, 5 days away from the big moment, and the struggle is real. It's unimaginable to think that we'd be having this conversation in 2024 or 2025. The momentum feels like it has hit a brick wall, and the excitement has been replaced by a sense of obligation. People aren't rushing to the gates. They are hovering over the buy button and deciding to do something else with their Saturday night. The aura of invincibility surrounding this roster is starting to fade before the season even starts.
hit subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed if you want the literal truth and nobody blowing smoke up your asses because they're afraid to hurt some people's feelings. Hurt some people. We don't get down. Look, you'll get to feeling better in the same panties you got on when you feel bad. Get over it. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.
The promotional videos themselves are part of the problem because they seem to be hiding their best asset. In one of the most recent clips, they featured several players talking about togetherness and being gritty, but the star of the show was nowhere to be found for the majority of the runtime. I actually timed it, and it was nearly 40 seconds into the video before Caitlin Clark even made an appearance. Why would you bury your lead like that? It's almost as if the marketing team is trying to prove they don't need her, which is a delusional strategy when your ticket sales are cratering. You don't hide the main attraction when the circus tent is half empty. It is marketing suicide. That 39-second delay before showing Clark is a perfect metaphor for the current state of the team's management. They are trying to sell a story of a complete roster and a fun team to watch, but the fans bought in for one specific person. By trying to balance the spotlight, they are inadvertently dimming the only light that actually draws a crowd. You see Sophie and Kelsey on the promotions, which is great, but the fans want the generational talent they were promised. The refusal to lean into the Clark effect is costing them cold hard cash at the box office. It is a bizarre internal power play that is backfiring in the most public way possible, and the empty seats are the ultimate proof. There is a lot of talk about sisterhood and going to war for one another, which sounds great in a locker room, but it doesn't sell tickets to a casual audience. The Fever are trying to sell a gritty, tough identity, but the market wants magic and star power. When the players talk about being dogs on the court, that's fine for the diehards, but the thousands of people who haven't bought tickets yet need a reason to care. Right now, the organization is failing to provide that spark. They are leaning on cliches instead of the unique excitement that only one player can provide. This togetherness narrative is falling flat because it feels like a forced distraction from the real issues. We already saw the warning signs during the last game when the broadcast couldn't hide the gaps in the crowd. You could not possibly have watched that game and not notice the empty seats scattered everywhere. They were on the right side, in the middle, and right in front of the camera from the very first tip-off. There were plenty of them, and they were visible to everyone watching at home. This wasn't just a late arriving crowd or people getting snacks. These were seats that simply weren't filled. The league can try to spin the numbers all they want, but the eye test doesn't lie. When the arena looks sparse on national television, the narrative of a sold-out revolution dies. People love to make excuses and claim that the empty seats were because certain starters were out or because it was a weekday. But hold on, if the hype is real, the seats should stay filled regardless of who is resting. The fact that the attendance drops off the moment the main attraction isn't guaranteed to play 30 minutes is a sign of a very fragile fan base. You can't build a sustainable franchise on the back of one person if you don't even know how to market that person correctly. The excuses are starting to wear thin as the season opener approaches, and the same patterns of low demand are emerging. It's time to stop blowing smoke and look at the actual data on the screen. Even the practice footage is raising more questions than it answers for the fans who are paying close attention. We saw Caitlin Clark out there with a leg sleeve, which immediately sparked concerns about her physical status heading into the opener. When your entire marketing strategy, or what's left of it, revolves around one player, any sign of an injury is going to cause a massive ripple effect in ticket demand. People are hesitant to drop hundreds of dollars on a seat if they think the star might be hampered or limited. The lack of transparency from the team regarding player health only adds to the uncertainty. Fans are keeping their wallets closed until they know exactly what they are paying for. The sighting of the leg sleeve isn't just a minor detail, it's a focal point for a concerned fan base. We've seen other players like Lexi Hull moving around and taking shots, and she looks ready to go, but all eyes remain fixed on Clark. If she isn't at 100%, the entire value proposition of the Indiana Fever changes overnight. The team needs her to be the electric presence that fills the building, but the physical toll of the transition to the pro level might already be showing. This uncertainty is a silent killer for ticket sales. Nobody wants to go to a game to watch their favorite players struggle through a lingering issue or sit on the bench for long stretches. While Lexi Hull and the rest of the crew are putting in the work, the marketing team is failing to bridge the gap between the roster and the audience. You can watch all the practice videos you want, but they don't replace the energy of a packed house. The team is trying to show off their new additions and their fast-paced tempo, but that message isn't reaching the people who actually buy the tickets. There is a disconnect between the up-tempo promise and the slow-motion reality of the box office. If the team is going to be as fun to watch as they claim, why is it so hard to convince people to come and see it for themselves? The math simply isn't adding up. This entire situation is an indictment of the front office's inability to handle a high-pressure environment. They were handed a golden ticket, and they are currently fumbling it in the most public way possible. From the AI-driven social media posts to the bizarre exclusion of their star player in major promotions, every move seems calculated to fail. It's almost impressive how quickly they've managed to turn a sure thing into a question mark. They are fighting against a backlash that they created themselves by being out of touch with their own supporters. You can't treat a generational talent like a standard roster addition and expect the world to keep cheering. The rhetoric about having a bunch of dogs on the team and being gritty is a tired trope that doesn't move the needle in the modern era of sports marketing. Fans want to see excellence, they want to see history, and they want to see Caitlin Clark. When you try to sell them grit instead of greatness, they see right through the shift in narrative. The Fever are trying to prepare the audience for a team that might struggle, but the audience only showed up for the wins and the highlights. This mismatch in expectations is exactly why thousands of seats are still sitting empty. The team is selling one thing while the fans are buying another, and the result is total silence. The frustration among the fan base is becoming a loud roar that the team can no longer ignore. People are tired of feeling like they are being sold a bill of goods by a front office that doesn't respect their intelligence. They see the empty seats, they see the poor marketing, and they see the lack of focus on the player they actually care about. There is a sense that the organization is trying to move on from the Clark hype before it has even peaked, which is a disastrous move for business. Fans don't want to be told to show up and show out by a team that can't even put together a coherent social media post. The trust is breaking down. With the Saturday deadline looming, the pressure on the ticket office is reaching a boiling point. They are running out of time to fill those gaps and avoid the embarrassment of a half-full arena for the most anticipated debut in years. Every hour that passes with hundreds of tickets still available in prime sections is a blow to the league's prestige. They can't afford to have their flagship franchise playing in front of empty blue chairs on opening night. The desperate pleas for sales are only going to get louder as the clock ticks down. It's a race against time to save face and prove that the hype wasn't just a fleeting social media trend. It's not just about whether they eventually dump these tickets for pennies on the dollar just to claim a sellout. The real indictment here is that with only a few days left, the demand isn't naturally overflowing. We're seeing 46 tickets here, 52 tickets there, and 67 tickets in another section. This isn't a few stragglers, it's a systematic failure to capture the energy that was supposed to define this season. If you have to beg people to come watch a generational talent, something is fundamentally broken in the way you're running your business. The numbers don't lie, and right now, the numbers are screaming that the honeymoon phase is over. The industry is full of smoke and mirrors, but the ticket map is the ultimate truth teller in the world of professional sports. You can have all the PR people in the world telling you how great things are, but if the seats are empty, the business is failing. The Indiana Fever are currently caught in a cycle of trying to hide the truth with flashy videos and optimistic quotes, but the fans aren't buying the act. They want the literal truth, not some sanitized version of reality designed to protect someone's feelings. If the game isn't sold out, it's because the organization failed to make it a priority for the community. It is as simple as that. I don't get down with people who are afraid to speak the truth because they don't want to hurt the feelings of the front office. We are here to talk about what is actually happening, not what the league wants us to believe. The reality is that the Indiana Fever are in a state of chaos, and their ticket sales are the biggest indicator of that internal mess. If you want the real story, you have to look past the official promos and see the empty rows for yourself. We don't blow smoke here. We look at the data and the visuals and we tell it like it is. The truth is often uncomfortable, but it is necessary if we want to understand the sport. At the end of the day, this season is going to be a fascinating experiment in whether star power can survive bad management. The Indiana Fever have the biggest asset in the world, and they are currently treating it like a liability. Whether the arena eventually fills up or not, the damage to the narrative has already been done. You can't take back the fact that they had to beg for fans to show up for a historic moment. The transition from college to the pros was always going to be tough, but nobody expected the marketing to be the biggest hurdle. This is a wake-up call for the entire league. Get it together before the lights go out.